Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress Video. So today we're going to do a flip through of the Thoth deck. I know I might be mispronouncing that. With reference to the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. First of all, I just want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I realize that these two decks are very different symbolism-wise, so it might be kind of the wrong approach to compare this deck to the Smith-Waite, which is inside this beautiful box. I just wanted to show you the beautiful box that I keep it in. But it, for me, helps me understand decks better to look at them this way, which is why I have this whole series where I do this for you guys, and hopefully this will help someone else. Just also, full disclaimer, I don't have a lot of experience with this deck yet. I would like to buy like a Thoth book and get kind of into the symbolism and kind of wrap my brain around it, because this deck, for whatever reason, I don't really respond to the imagery very well, and this deck has come into my life a few different times, and I've tried to reject it, but it keeps coming back. Like this particular one, it belonged to my mom, and she just recently gave it to me, and at this point, and it's well loved by my mom. She's probably had this deck for 20 plus years. So at this point, if your mom, the Queen of Pentacles, gives you a tarot deck that she's had in her possession for 20 years, you don't reject that. So I'm taking it as a sign that I need to connect more to this deck. But so far I have not actually dove into the symbolism of the Thoth deck. So I don't really know what I'm doing, and I don't have knowledge about this deck, which is going to be very obvious once I start flipping through it. If you do have knowledge of this deck, let me know in the comments if there's a particular Thoth tarot symbolism book that particularly helped you in understanding the Thoth deck. I'd be interested to know. I have one in my wish list on Amazon that looks like it might work for me, but I know from personal experience that the one that's actually written by Aleister Crowley, I had that in my possession at one point in my life, and I think it was a little too esoteric and it was too hard for me to grasp, so that one might not be the one for me, but something else maybe would be. So anyway, with all of that preamble, let's get started. I would like to light my little candle here. And we'll get started. So, first of all, I'll take my Smith-Waite out of the box. Just painted my nails just for you guys, so they're still kind of wet because I'm not patient enough to wait. Okay. So again, I realize this is probably like not the best way to do this whole thing, comparing these two decks, because they are very, very different. But this is the box that I have. My mom, at one point, she had lost the universe card for a long time. She recently found it, so she had written on here the universe to use since she had lost it. So this was her universe card. Before she had found it, I was using this as the universe card. It's just another little extra that comes. The card backs, as I'm sure you've seen if you know anything about the Thoth deck. Apparently there's a lot of symbolism going on in this, but I don't know it. Okay, so because I don't, like, as I've said, I don't have a lot of knowledge of this deck, I probably will go through this relatively quickly. I feel like we could probably... This is good. Again, for me personally, this symbolism, I know that there's a lot of like alchemical stuff going on. I've noticed there's planetary symbols, like there's the symbol for Mercury right there. This is a Hebrew alphabet sign. I know that much, but I don't know which one it is. And there's a lot going on in these cards that I just have not gotten to that. I feel like I could add some more light to this room and that might help. The lo-fi mixtress video. She sets up her lighting after she presses record. I mean, you can see there are similarities, actually. It's not completely alien symbolism to the Smithwaite. I like that there are people of color in this Lover's card. Can't tell if it's not focusing. Oh, there we go. That looks good. There we go. Oh, this one has... I guess I should really flip it on this side, right? Justice is adjustment in this deck. And you've got the little Libra symbol and another in the Hebrew alphabet. What I may find out once I start really studying the symbolism in this deck is that it's just one of those things that like isn't immediately accessible. Like when I look at these images, I don't immediately get there, but I could see really diving in. What's standing out to me at this exact moment, the fact that they're calling the strength card lust, and then she has her hand on, this looks like a clitoris to me. So that makes sense to me. I can work with that. I like that there's an upside down Ankh in this Hanged Man. I do like this Death card. Change my situation here. Working around a tripod. How do you guys do it? I guess if I could set my tripod up behind things, that would make it easier. It's interesting, like there's this mouth right here. I never noticed that before. I have actually like learned more about my tarot cards through doing this series. Like sometimes while I'm filming it, but more often I'll like watch it later after I've posted it just to make sure everything like uploaded correctly and all that. And in the process of that, I'll notice things about the cards I've never noticed before. I do like any deck that has Egyptian symbolism in it. This one's got all the signs of the zodiac going around here, it looks like. Come on, focus, baby. I like this one a lot, actually. Eon. It's got the fire symbol. There's the Lost Universe card. It has come home. It's been separated from this deck for maybe a decade or more. It's especially going to be evident in the minor arcana that these two decks don't really relate to each other in the imagery. Usually I prefer more pictorial representations of the pips, but there's a lot going on, actually. You know? I don't know how I feel about the keywords yet. Most of the time, the keywords on the Thoth deck cards don't... I mean, this one kind of does, strife, okay? But a lot of the time, it doesn't make sense to me. Okay, victory, yes. As soon as I say that, I see some cards that actually do make sense to me. I wouldn't say this is oppression. I would say this is overstimulus. That's what I would say. Although sometimes, I mean, he's got the sticks. He's got it, but it's still overwhelming. I hope I got the order of the court cards right. I'm pretty sure I did. I don't have like a little white book or anything. Of course, I could have looked it up online, but I'm pretty sure it goes Princess, Prince, Queen, Knight in this deck. So got a cat in the Queen of Wands. I always like to see a cat in the Queen of Wands. Of course, I would prefer it to be a black cat. I like a lot of the Cups cards. They're pretty great. I like the flow of energy of the water. How not only is it going through these fish into that lotus, but it's also coming down from the top lotus, bouncing off the fish and going into the bottom cups. This card, as you can see, this is like the only damaged card in the deck. And I just have to tell you the story, because that's how I roll. It was, my mom had it out of the deck, like just set up on, I don't think she calls it her altar, but I mean, she has little tables in her bedroom full of rocks and things, so, you know, it looks like an altar. She had it sitting out when a tornado destroyed her house. And she found it. So it's all water damaged and dirty and bent. And like when you're looking at the deck all together in a stack, you can definitely tell which one this is, because it's the only one that's not just time worn. The other ones are time worn and a little dirty on the edges, but since it's from 1996, but that's the only one that, like, you know, stands out as being damaged. I got all these cups. That's what I always think of when I see this. I got all these cups. Look at my cups. Obviously, you got a lot of Kabbalistic imagery, especially in a 10 card, but I don't know much about that yet, but I know enough to know what the Tree of Life looks like when I see it. Interesting I'm comparing these two decks at this point in my life, because like 5-10 years ago I would have said both of these tarot decks I don't want in my life, and now this one's probably my favorite of all time, and this one I'm learning to accept. Weird how that works. Peace. Okay. Truce. Science? Like, okay. Obviously, I need to understand the symbolism of the Thoth deck. This is my card of the day, actually. So I'm going to leave this one out. We'll say for the most part you do get kind of a lot more action in the Thoth cards than the Smith-Waite. With Pixie's deck, it's a lot of somebody just sitting there like posing for a picture, you know. I do like this one. I like a snake as the limnisket, or however you say that word. I like that one. It's the yin and yang. Do you guys think I did an okay job making my Smith-Waite borderless? It looks okay in the pictures. I had some spots where I messed up, but I did the best I could. It's the first time I've ever cut a deck down. Failure? Failure? Okay. I don't really like the keywords. They're distracting to me, I guess. Okay, there it is. That is the Thoth deck in comparison to Smith-Waite Centennial, which, you know, probably didn't help a whole lot, but hey, I'm doing this with all my decks, so can't leave this one out just because the symbolism is vastly different. I hope you guys have a great week. Let's see, I guess I should probably like promote myself and stuff. Check the description box below for my Patreon and my information on my weekly internet radio show and my Buffy podcast. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.